Okay, so if you grade it like here, like we were about to do, you're not going to see what happens to the skin and whatever. So you need to select a frame. Once you see the clip so that you see everything. And once you see everything, you say to yourself, okay, what frame is there that has most of what is in this scene? So you go ahead, in this case, it would be around the middle when the guy's still walking or when he's on the ground. Because right here, stop it. When he's still walking, go back. Yeah, if you stop it here, we have the skin tone, we have the grass, the sky, we have the sun as well. We have a lot of elements. This is almost like 90% complete. I would go a step beyond this. I would personally go when he's on the ground for the grass. Yeah. But realistically, what you would do in a real work scenario is switch back and forth between these frames to see, is the grade looking good here, there, and at the end? And if it is, you go ahead. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So you choose for yourself what frame you like most to do the grading. Choose for yourself.
I think maybe the one. No, I think maybe one decision is. I think yeah, like maybe this is good.
Yeah, totally. Like one thing I'm looking at is the skin. Like, do you see how the sun is behind him?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's currently like his skin is in the shade. He's not being lit by the sun when he's facing towards the camera. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing I would worry about is if there's a moment where we see his skin lit by the sun directly, but I don't think there is. I would just scrub back and forth once again just to check, because if there is a moment where he's really in the sunlight, I may want to go ahead with that as well. But it doesn't look like it.
No, I don't think there is.
There's a few spots here and there, but you don't really need to worry about them that much. It's okay.
Why would I want the one being lit by the sun?
Because the skin tones is it's gonna vary. Like you're gonna have a different skin tone. It could change. It changes in brightness for one, and it may change in saturation, even hue. Like you see, like the blue sky.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sky is actually affecting the color of everything in the shade. The blue sky colors everything in blue. You can look out your window right now and look at, if you have a clear sky, and look at something that is in the shade. It's not lit by the sun, and it'll have a slight blue tint on it. That's the blue sky, because the sky, of course, like it diffuses light, and you see like the blue comes to the ground basically. So it colors everything. You don't notice this usually because the sun overpowers it. Where you notice it is in the shadow. So that's why we need to take into accountability, like, is the skin sunlit or is it in the shade? That's why it's important, because you're going to have a few differences. Now in this footage, at least from my screen, from the screen sharing, it doesn't seem like there's much of a difference between shadow and highlight, like in the skin tones, but still it's a good rule. Like, look at his, I'm going to make you notice real quick. Look at the guy's shirt. Do you see that it's blue?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the sky. It's not because it was recorded weirdly. No, that's literally the sky. But usually our eyes we don't notice, because our brain filters this kind of information out because we're used to how things look. But if you really stop and if you look at things, like if you look at his shoes, the shoe in the sunlight is more orangey. The shoe in the dark is blue. It's not white, it's blue. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so pay attention to that. Okay, start noticing colors. You'll start to see things like that. Okay, so now we got to convert the image. Before we go, do you have any questions about what I've just said?
No, it's pretty clear. I got it.
Beautiful. Okay, now we gotta go and convert the image. Okay, so you've converted the color space, and that's great. But now we've got to go about the gamma. This is S-log3. So when you have to grade images, remember, you have to convert colors and exposure and contrast, basically. And exposure and contrast is called gamma in this context, okay? I'm saying exposure and contrast to make it simple for you, but really it's called gamma. And we need to convert that. If we don't, the image is still going to look flat, which is not right. It's not Rec 709 right now. Okay, do you know how to do that?
No.
Okay, very simple. You need to do the same thing that you did for the color space. So you still go to your color space transform, and you say input gamma. You need to tell DaVinci what gamma was used on this clip. So when you work, if it's going to be for your videos, you need to remember, if you're using log, which version of log. It's going to be very simple. It's something that you always remember. Don't worry about it. But you need to know it. Or if you're going to be color grading for somebody else, they always need to tell you gamma and color space, because you need to do a proper transformation. Okay?
If I color grade something that wasn't shot in log, what, like, I keep the gamma the same?
Beautiful question. I am just now color grading a short film which is shot already in Rec 709. It's gonna be very simple. Like, I'm going to give you the best way to work on everything. Like, you're not even gonna care if it was log, if it was already Rec 709. You can already grade your own things from your own camera with the workflow that I'm going to be giving you. We're gonna circle back to that another time. We need to go through this first. But that's a beautiful question, man. You're not gonna have problems about it. You can definitely, like, we're gonna be using the color space transform even if it's already Rec 709. Okay, I'm gonna teach you that later.
Okay.
Okay, so now you're just gonna tell DaVinci, hey bro, this is S-Log3. Can we make it Rec 709? That's what you gotta tell it. So you go to input gamma, and you
Yeah.
instead of timeline, you need to say it was S-Log3 basically.
For start.
It's not bad. You could say, I mean, it looks good, of course. It's not, the image doesn't fall apart. It's okay. But now I'm gonna go forward and press you about something. So
What? Like, okay.
I would first ask you like, okay, I'm gonna let me put it this way. So what I would personally do is not attack the contrast. What you just did is just change the image contrast. Okay, but let's say that you have a different shot in the same sequence. Let's say that you have another clip, which you do have. You do have another clip. Let's say you do have another clip, and when you go to grade that other clip, it's darker than this one because maybe the ISO on the camera was lower or whatever. It's darker. In that case, if you grade just like you did by attacking with your primaries, first thing, you're gonna run into problems. Why? Because you didn't first attack your exposure. You went in with your contrast already. And what I would have done is I would have personally I would have selected a target exposure, and then I would have gone and messed with the contrast. And this is something that I don't see people talking about on YouTube. I don't know why. So I'm gonna show you how it's done. So my personal node tree structure. I'm gonna show you what it's always like. So you can keep this node, the contrast node. I would just deactivate the node. Exactly. Now go in your first node and create a new one after that. Okay, now, this first node, we're going to be using it to get our exposure right. So if you want to make the image darker or brighter, but how do you do that? Do you know how to do that? I'm going to ask you first. Do you know how to make your image brighter or darker without changing contrast?
The offset, right?
Show me. Okay, this is okay. This is okay, but it's incomplete. In reality, you don't want to use your offset. And I know you've probably seen the advice of using offset, but it's actually wrong. There's a better tool. So first thing, there's a few problems with the way we're proceeding right now. I'm gonna go one step at a time. First things, the offset, it's not color space and gamma aware. What does it mean? It means that it doesn't know that you're working on S-Log3 footage. And why is that important? It's important because if it knows what you're working with, you can have a tool that responds differently based on the camera. And why is that important? It's important because if you have a tool that acts differently based on what footage you're working on, you have a tool that is, how can I put it? It's a photorealistic tool. Say you go one stop darker in exposure, it would be the same thing as lowering your ISO on your camera. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So the way offset works is not really, it's changing your contrast. You don't even know, you don't notice it. But it's doing that. It's changing your contrast. So it's not really like how they put it on YouTube. It's wrong, actually. It was used before. Before, it was okay. I'll say, 10 years ago, when other tools didn't exist in Resolve, you would use the offset because it was the only thing available. But today, with the recent versions of Resolve, we have much better tools. And I'm going to show you what to use. So reset the offset. And you need to go on your top left when it says primaries color wheels. You need to switch to the HDR color wheels.
1 second.
Yeah.
How? It's
HDR. The HDR color wheels. Careful, I think you have something on your primary color wheels. Because I see the red dot indicates that there's something going on in the color wheels. I think you did something with the auto adjustment. I would just delete this node and make another one at this point. Discord is bugging out again. I don't know if you want to restart the screen sharing. These, you can use the global color wheel to make precise adjustments to the exposure. But there's a problem. We're working, we're doing something wrong. So the problem with the way we're working is that we're using, the node tree structure is after the color space transform. Do you know why that's a problem?
because we want to be Rec 709 after we're working on the clip.
Yeah, but why?
I don't know, maybe to keep the colors to Rec 709 so it will be prepared for where we want to export it to.
Not really. So the real reason is because we're losing detail right now. Look at the sky. So make a node before the color space transform. I'm gonna show you real quick. There's another shortcut if you need to make a node before a node. It should be Shift S. Try it on your system. See if it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So go on your global color wheel in the first node and crank it, like, do you see exposure, EXP, below?
Yeah.
Go, like, way above, like, a lot, like, just really, really bright, really, yeah, like, burn the sky, exactly. Now, go after the color space transform, go to your other node, exactly, and now bring it back.
Exposure?
Yeah. Okay. This means that we're losing detail if we work after the color space transform. Now, reset this node, reset the global adjustment. Okay. Now make a new node before the color space transform. Exactly. Now, go to your exposure and bring it back in this node.
See.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, why? Because when you convert to Rec 709, do you remember what I told you before? The fact that log is way larger than Rec 709?
Yeah.
I told you, like, in the beginning. So when you go to Rec 709, DaVinci has to cut detail that is out of Rec 709. It gets cut, and you can't recover that detail. In our case, it was the sky. The sky was too bright for Rec 709, and it got cut. And if you bring it back after it's got cut, you don't bring back anything. You have nothing left. So we want to do everything before Rec 709. Because, why? I'm going to show you. Right now, your tools are working in log, and they know. Since you have selected the input as slog3, DaVinci knows that you're working in log, and that's why the exposure, like the high dynamic range color wheels, they work beautiful in this moment. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. If you deselect your color space transform, like if you deactivate that, you're going to see that we're actually working, this is the image we're working with right now. If you activate the color space transform, it's going to show the Rec 709, but actually in the nodes before, we're still working on a flat image. You can see that if you look at your nodes, you see that the image gets, contrast in color. It gets it in the CST, in the color space transform. Before, it's still flat if you look at your node, the one you've selected now.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so color space transform, when you work this way, always at the end. Always.
The last node?
Yes.
Always
yes.
the last node?
I mean,
all the work I do is before the color
yes,
space transform?
Yes, this is
Okay.
fundamental. You can have some variations in this. There's another workflow that I'm going to be showing you, which is a better one than this. But this is already, like, completely okay. There's a better workflow I'm going to teach you. But yeah, usually at the end. You can have some instances where there's something else at the end. Maybe the color space transform is not the last one. Maybe it's one of the last. Okay, so it's still at the end, but there's something after it. There may be some case where that happens. But for the most part, just leave it at the end. Like every adjustment to color, exposure, and contrast, always before.
Okay.
So the way you go about it, so you can delete the nodes about exposure. Like you can delete one and reset the other because we're going to need exposure. Okay, reset this one and delete the two nodes after the color space transform. Exactly. So the correct order of operation would be this. So you make a few nodes just like you have here, and first you convert the image. So the color space transform, I'm just gonna say CST. It's the abbreviation for color space transform. The CST, it's always at the end, but you want to convert the image first things first. Okay, so you get the CST, convert the image, put it at the back, so that at least you see the image in Rec 709. You don't want to see, like, you don't want to grade in log. Who would know, like, what the image is like in Rec 709? You need to look at it as a finished product already. Like, you need to know what it looks like in Rec 709. Nobody cares about what it looks like in log. Okay, so the CST, always first thing, but you put it at the back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, complete sense.
Okay, beautiful. So what I usually do, you have the CST in the real center. I would just put it at the very back, and I would call it CST. I need to remember, because if you color grade a lot of shots and you want to change something, you need to know what everything is doing. That's why you rename things. Okay. So that's your CST. Now you can go in your first node, and I would call this EXP for exposure. Okay, now in this node, you know that you have fixed your exposure. Okay, maybe, I'm going to say this, maybe the exposure is perfect. Maybe you don't need to touch it. Okay, it's not like, don't think about it like you always need to do something. No, maybe you don't need to do anything. Maybe the image is already perfect. Like when you work with talented people, you're going to realize that the image already looks okay. You don't need to have this crazy before and after. Like real professionals don't care about that. Okay. So maybe the exposure is already great, or maybe you want to change it. I always have the node regardless. So if you change it, good. If you don't do anything in this node, it's okay as well. Just keep it. Always have the node. Because when you paste the node tree in another clip, you already have a node ready if you need to change exposure if that clip is darker or brighter. I don't know if that makes sense. This is about speed.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so let's say that you select your other clip. So the other clip I gave you. Okay, if you go with your mouse on your first clip, don't click. Just go on your first clip with your mouse.
Like here?
Yeah, without clicking. If you click on the wheel of your mouse, it's gonna copy the grade.
Okay.
Okay, but do you see that the sky is a bit different? Maybe it's a bit brighter. The colors are a bit different. This is because we recorded the clips sometime after, and the sun was lower. It was getting close to sunset. Now, a colorist's job is to match the two clips. They need to look very similar. Not perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect, but they need to be very similar. So let's say that in the first clip, you didn't touch exposure. So the EXP node is empty. Okay, it's just called EXP, but it's doing nothing. Since you made it anyways, now that you have copied your grade, you already have the node. You just go ahead and change exposure in this node. It's already done for you. That's why I said, even if it's empty, just create the node anyways. Maybe you realize that you don't want to change anything, but still, you make things simple for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, beautiful. So, go to the first clip. Okay, select your frame, the one you want to work with. Remember, we talked about this in the very beginning. There you go. So, what I usually do is this. So, I would grab exposure in this moment. So, on your global color wheel, we'll click on EXP and go right and left until you find the spot that you like. Don't be afraid. You can push it. You can be very, you can literally do this.
I think maybe something like it's too like the sky burns out, but the like the guy looks good and the cars everything else looks good, but the sky gets really burned up.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love the way you're thinking. So you see that when you raise or lower exposure, you can't get everything perfect. There's something that is good and something that is not good, but that's exactly where the primaries come in. So first you decide exposure, then you say, okay, let's fix whatever needs to be fixed. This gives you the ability, say that you wanna paste the grade to the other clip. If the other clip is too bright or too dark, you can have the same contrast as this one, because contrast doesn't need to change, but you have a different exposure, because maybe that clip was just brighter, and you bring it down in exposure to match it to this one. So in this sense, like in this case, you would go create a new node, and I would call it contrast. Not contrast, I would call it cont to signify contrast. It's a different way of saying that you're going to use your primaries, basically. It's the same thing. You can call it primaries, you can call it whatever. I call it contrast. So now you're going to go to the primary color wheels, so the ones you were using before. And you can try to change the image's contrast. Now, this is where you can do the adjustments you were doing before. So you can just go ahead right now. If there's something that you can't do, like if you have an image in mind, but you don't know how to get there, tell me.
I know like the lifts for the shadows, the gammas for the midtones, and the gains for the highlights, right?
Kinda. It's not like Photoshop. It's not like that. So everything affects everything, really. It's just the way they interact. Lift usually brings up the shadows before it brings up everything else, but they still interact with other things.
Okay.
That's why if you raise lift, the whole image gets brighter. So say that you want to affect only shadows. How do you do that? I'm going to show you. So when you're ready, tell me you're ready, and I'll show you how to really just affect the shadows.
Show me.
Okay, so we need to use the log wheels. You need to go to your right, in the primaries color wheels, go to your top right, close to mid detail. Yeah, close to that log, where it says log, exactly. Now we are working with the log wheels, and you have shadows, midtone, and highlights. Now, you have a great level of control right here. Okay, you can tell DaVinci what to consider shadows and what to consider highlights and what to consider midtones. So you can decide what the shadows are. Okay, if you right now, you can see the two things are range, like the range for the shadows with the arrow pointing downwards, and the range for the highlights with the arrow pointing upwards in the far right corner. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that tells DaVinci what to view as shadow and what to view as highlight, and the difference is the midtones basically. Now, if you want to affect only the shadows, this is the place to do it. Try to erase the shadows. See what it does. No, not that. If you change that right now, no, it doesn't change anything.
Shadow one. Okay,
yeah.
Shadow one.
Yeah, try to raise the shadows only. Do you see?
Yeah.
It's way different. Because this...
Only the really black spots.
You can change it. You can try to make it very, very dark. Try to make it like the shadows. Bring them way, way down. Very, very dark or very, very bright, whatever. Okay, if you go to change the range, you can have it affect different parts of the image. See? You can say which part, how dark it needs to be, the part to be considered shadow. So it's up to you, okay? You need to know how to use the tool. Like with practice, you know how to change whatever you want it to do, basically. So if you want to make the shadows like brighter, you can. I would personally come into the log wheels right now. I always use them, especially for shadows. After you're done with your contrast, let me know. Oh wait, instead of that, I want to ask you, are you happy with your sky?
I think it's really burned out.
Yeah, it's looking very, very bad. So there's a way to fix it, and I'm going to show you a way to get the sky back. Once you're ready, tell me that you're ready, and I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go back in the primary color wheels, like the normal ones, exactly. And you have a few other controls that at your disposal, basically. So we need to tell DaVinci that the sky is too bright, but we have a problem. Now, like, do you see that you have a lot of different tools, and they almost do the same thing, like just a little different? You do have so many tools because different tools allow you to solve different problems. That's why DaVinci is full of different ways to do the same thing. Now, in this case, I don't know, are you happy with your contrast and exposure? You can say yes. I mean, I'm not saying that it looks bad. Just tell me if you're happy or not.
I think it looks okay for now. Like not professional, but I think it looks okay.
Beautiful. So you're okay with your exposure. Now you just want to change your sky. Now, if you go change your gain, you're going to change the whole image, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's another control, which is similar to gain, but it's a little bit more towards highlights. And it's the highlight slider under gamma. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, this is different from the log wheels. If you go to the log wheels, there's the color wheel with highlight written. It's different. They're two different things. The log wheel, it acts always like I showed you with the shadows. So it's really selective, really picky. This one is more closer to the gain, but it's a little more towards the highlights, the very bright parts of the image. So gain is like, I would say 70%. Highlights is 75 or 80%. Okay, like in the light spectrum, basically what it affects. So you can try. There's a method that I use to recover overexposed parts of the image. You can try bringing down the highlights and then bringing back up the gain. I would actually do this in another node. So I would hit Control Z to go back, exactly. I would make another node.
Wait, in this log I changed only the... What I changed in this log?
I think the shadows.
Okay, yeah.
I would make another node right now, exactly. Because you need to see if the image is getting better or worse from your original contrast. And I would go back on the highlights and forward on the gain. Exactly. Okay, now when you're done, when you like your image, go before and after on this node. You need to see the difference you're making. Okay, this method is working. Okay, it allows us to do what we wanted to do, but we're changing a few other parts of the image. You can be happy with changing the image. It doesn't need to be set in stone. Maybe you like how the image looks now, because I don't know, whatever. But I'm gonna show you another method that really just changes the sky. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Deactivate this node. Okay. Now go to your contrast node. Now, do you know what a parallel node is?
No, I do not.
Okay, so basically, DaVinci, like right now, every node is getting information from the node before. I'm going to show you what this means. Make a new node. And get the saturation of this node, get it to 0. It's in the bottom left, exactly. Now make another node. And get the gain and push it towards blue.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see how it gets blue?
Yeah.
Why? Because the image first gets black and white, then we give it blue. Okay? Now, reset both nodes. Okay. Now, make the image blue with the gain in this node. Okay. Now go into the next one and reduce saturation. There's no blue. Why? Because we desaturated the image when the image had already blue applied in it. So the order in which we do things matters. Okay? If you do something before, it's going to change the outcome. So having something before or after matters. Let's say that you wanted to, do, let me think about it. This is a more complex process. I'm trying to I'm trying to construct a sentence that is simple to understand. Sometimes we need to do things at the same time, not just after or before. Maybe we want to do two things at the same time, two nodes at the same time. When you want to do that, we use parallel nodes. That's why they're called parallel, because they happen at the same time, not before or after. And we use, what you're using now, the normal nodes, they are called serial nodes, because it's a series of nodes. And for the method that I'm going to be showing you, which is an advanced method, we're going to be using a parallel node. It's really simple. It's way harder to explain than to just do. So I'm going to show you. Delete these two nodes that you just made. Okay, go to your contrast. And now we need to make a new node, but instead of making it with Alt-S, you need to make it with Alt-P. Alt-S is used to create a serial. Alt-P is used to create a parallel node. Now look at what's going on. The exposure, look at the arrows. Before, the signal, the image, was traveling only in a straight line. Now, do you see that you have two arrows coming out of exposure?
Yeah.
Okay, because now there are two things happening at the same time. Okay? Now, what do I want to show you? This is a very, very high-level concept. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. This is gonna make your grades 10 times better. And very few people actually can grade like this because it gets like complex, but I'm trying to make it simple. Now, do you see that after our two nodes, we have a little gray block?
Yeah.
Okay. All that's doing is just mixing the two nodes back together and combining them into a single image again. Very simple. You don't need to worry about that. Like, it's all automatic under the hood, basically. Don't worry about that. Now, why would I tell you to make a parallel node instead of a serial node? Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to your contrast node. Make a new node, a serial node. So Alt-S. Okay. Put this node like above. Beautiful. Exactly like that. It doesn't change anything. If it's above or below. It's just view it better. Okay. But it doesn't change anything. Now, in this node, go to your HDR color wheels. Okay, now go to your light. I think that's lights, yeah. And there's a button in the top left corner of the light wheel. Exactly. If you click it, if you push it and you keep pressing it, it tells you what DaVinci sees as light. Now, once you push it, hold on. You don't need to keep pushing it. Once you have pushed it once, you can hit Shift-H. Okay. And you keep seeing the same thing that we were seeing before, but now you don't need to press any button and you can move your mouse basically. Now, we need to tell DaVinci that we want to select the sky. And we want to select the sky. We want to tell it that, hey, the sky is what I want to be considered a highlight. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Stop me if it gets too complex, okay? Don't worry about that. Or I'm going to ask you, do you have any questions before I go ahead about what we're doing?
No, right now it's okay. I'm good.
Oh, okay. So we need to tell DaVinci that we only want to select the sky, because hit Shift-H again to exit this mode. Okay, if we bring down the exposure of the lights, we're going to affect the whole image. Try that. See for yourself. See, we're affecting more than just the sky. It looks beautiful. The sky looks beautiful when you bring it down, but we want to bring down just the sky. So hit Shift-H again. This is what the wheel is selecting. That's why the whole image gets darker. The gray areas are what it's not being selected. The areas that you can see instead are what's being selected. So you need to go to the left slider on your light.
What?
So there's a slider, black and white slider to the left. Yes. If you raise it, you can select just the sky. Exactly. Now, do you see that it doesn't select like all the sky? It selects just a fraction. There's like a feather applied to it. Do you see that? It's like a gradient, basically.
Yeah.
If you want to make it harsher, just like a cut, you need to go to the other slider, the red one, and you bring it down.
Oh, I see.
If this looks bad, I mean, this is too much. You would never go like this. If this is too much for the, not for the left slider, but for the red one, for the feather, that's the feather, you would bring it up a little bit. Just a little bit. Just, it needs to be natural when we go to hit the sky, basically. Now hit Shift-H again. Now bring down the exposure.
I see.
Do you see that?
Yeah, it's only affected the sky.
Exactly. Now, why was I telling you to do this in a parallel node? I'm going to show you. If you go and change your contrast in the node before, so in the contrast node,
yeah.
If you go to change your contrast, Let's say go to your primary color wheels and bring down the gain.
I see.
No, I mean this isn't really a good example. It's a mistake on my end. I mean it's doing what I told you it should be doing, but it's not really a good example. It's not really showing right now. I'll just say it and explain what I wanted to show you. Basically, if you change the image and we're using serial nodes only, when you use a tool that needs to select a certain part of the image, and you change the image before, you need to change the tool as well. Because if the whole image is darker, you have to tell the HDR wheels again what the sky looks like. You remember, we just told it, hey, the sky is this bright, only select this part. But what if the part changes? What if you change your mind? What if the clip is different? You need to change that as well. So that's why I told you make a parallel node. Because in the parallel node, what changes is just the exposure. Because it comes from the exposure. The signal is the exposure signal. Look at the arrows. So you can have a different contrast. You decide what the contrast should be. At the same time, you are already fixing the sky before contrast. It happens at the same time. Look at the arrows. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, I copy.
Okay, beautiful. Do you have any questions about what I've showed you today?
Yeah, one question. So in the HDR, this one controls what I select, like
How bright?
what I'm selecting,
Yes,
how
how
bright,
bright.
and this one calls and what is the red one doing?
I'll show you. I'll show you. There's a button that shows you exactly what you're doing. Top right corner, close to the highlight wheel. No, top right. Top. Exactly. Not that one. The one to the left. Left.
This one.
The other one? Yeah.
This?
No, the one before.
Okay. Okay.
Click it. Okay. This shows you what we're doing to the image. Now, try to change the sliders around, the black and white one and the red one. See how it changes. See? This is the threshold. You're saying this is highlights. This is not highlights. You're putting the slider right there. Change the red one. See? This is smooth. Very smooth. If you bring it down, it's going to act like on and off, basically. Exactly. You see? There's no more feather, basically.
Yeah.
So those two sliders, you need to use them in combination based on what you need to do. I don't know if this answers your question. Ask me again if this didn't answer, if you still have doubts.
So the black and white ones determine what is black and what is white.
No.
What is highlights and what is not highlights?
In this case, it changes what you're selecting. If you go for the shadows, like you see that you have the shadow as well, the color wheel. If you select this one, just click it once. It changes. And now if you go up and down, it's going to do the same thing, but in the opposite way. Oh wait, no, I'm just wrong. Sorry, I'm just wrong. I just got confused myself. Sorry about that. So yeah, it does exactly that basically. So changes the slider. It's gonna change the what you're affecting in the image based on how bright the thing is. Okay, so it just changes the brightness of what we're doing, like what we're affecting.
Okay.
Any other question? You can take some time to think about it.
And the red one is what is determining?
How smooth the transition is between what we want to grab, and what we want to leave out.
I got it. Okay, now it's like good in my brain.
Okay, beautiful, man, beautiful. Okay, so before we end this session, I would just say go to the other clip and try to do what we've learned today from scratch. I won't say anything.
Okay.
Delete everything and just do it from scratch.
So firstly, I put it in the end, the time space transform. You said it was log on S-log3, right?
Yeah.
And the gamma you usually use is the 0.4. And then you want to export it as Rec 709.
Okay, so there's a mistake here.
No, I mixed it. Yeah, I got it. Here I need to put the S-log3 and here the gamma 2.4.
Exactly.
Then I'll create one before. I edit as it's the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
I think something like that looks better in my opinion, like something maybe darker.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It looks good.
I put another one for the contrast. And right now I don't see anything like in particular that bothers my eye. Like in the last one, we saw the sky was really harsh, but here everything looks pretty much okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I could play
Yeah, I would, yeah, exactly. I would play with the contrast just to see if you can make it better to your liking. If you don't like it, you can also leave it blank. You don't need to change things just to change things. If it looks good, it looks good.
Oh yeah, I think maybe the dark is better. Probably something like that. I think it looks okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally fine. And I would say that you don't really need to make a parallel node and bring the sky back because the sky is already okay in this image.
Okay.
I personally wouldn't. Maybe the sun, but I'm not too sure about that. You
And
could.
if you wanted to do that, you would do like the same thing. Would you like create a color one,
Yes.
and then create one directly after the contract, right?
No, you don't need that. You don't, that was just
Oh,
for showing you before. So the parallel
okay.
node, yeah, here you would bring the sky back in this node. I would call this high rec. So HI rec stands for highlight recovery. You're recovering highlights. Just to remember what you're doing.
I know that.
So that you know that in this node, you went to the HDR wheels, you selected your sky or your highlights. Highlights may not be the sky. You may be selecting the sun. Remember how to view what you're selecting though. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. I
Because
need to.
yeah. Shift H. Yeah, okay. See? You're not seeing things now. Exactly. Now you're seeing things. So you need to select the slider when you hit Shift H. No, you already done it. No, you
Okay,
did it.
yeah.
You did it.
So I want to select only the sun.
Yeah, what you think is so bright? If there's bright things that you want to change, select just the bright things that you want to change.
Only like this. So, or is it the opposite? I want to see only the thing I want to change, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like this, maybe.
Yeah, this is looking good. I would personally get the left slider up more, just to select just the sun. Yeah, kind of like this. And I would play
Okay.
around with the red slider as well. Yeah, kind of like this. A little softer. This is gonna look bad if you do it like this. Kind of like this. It could work. Maybe it looks bad. I don't know. We need to try it. So
So
now
now
now hit
it's
Shift
okay.
H again. Shift H before. You need to see the changes you're doing now. Okay. Let's see how it looks.
Now to that exposure. Like
Yeah. You can go. Yeah. I'm not too convinced about it.
yeah, it looks like the sun looks very weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. So I would personally leave it like that. Usually when you have these problems, you need to have a softer gradient. So the red slider needs to be up more. And you can't have perfect, like, it's a camera problem. Like the sun, it's literally the sun. It's always going to be overexposed.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. Like for today, like you did great and it's totally fine.